Hello, guys. How are you all doing? Okay, good to see you all again. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. So, today I have Richmond here, and he is going to tell us about how he got a scholarship to Simon Fraser University. Just so you know, Simon Fraser University is in British Columbia. It's in BC, it's in Vancouver. And so, I actually do know. A couple of people who came to that school. And so get your books, get your notebooks and your pen. Get ready to write something down because he's going to give us every information that we need to know. Okay, especially how he secured his scholarship. So start inviting people, start sharing the video, and yeah. Hi Richmond, how are you?
Hi, Gina. Nice to see you. It's
Yeah,
been a
nice to
while.
see you
I
too.
hope
Yeah,
you're doing well.
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just hanging in there as usual.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so Richmond, you came to Simon Fraser University, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so where did you study? Where did you
And still,
have your?
and still in Simon Fraser University.
Oh, you're still in school?
Yes. So I'm doing my
Okay.
PhD. So
Oh, you're currently doing your PhD. Ah,
yes.
interesting. Interesting. Okay, so um, as I mentioned earlier, he is somebody who secured a scholarship to SFU, Simon Fraser University, that's SFU. And so he's going to tell us about that. But before that, Richmond, could you please tell us where you're from, what school you went to, what program you did back in wherever you're from before you came to Canada?
Okay. So I'm originally from Ghana. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a Ghana. Um, but I wouldn't want to go into details as to where my dad and my mom is from because I don't think that is really important. But
No.
I actually reside in Accra,
Okay.
and I did my junior high school in
Mm-hmm.
Providence Educational Complex in Tama.
Okay.
Currently named Divine Providence Educational Complex.
Mm.
And right after that, I went to Accra Academy. So I'm
Okay.
a little boy.
Ooh.
And yeah, so after Accra Academy, I went to University of Ghana. But once I was in Accra Academy, I did business, and I really enjoyed. Doing business. One of my favorite courses was accounting.
Mm.
So I thought I was going to probably read accounting or be an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one thing that struck me the most was the fact that for those who wanted to pursue the accounting option or the
Yeah.
accounting career, they would have to write the ACCA or the CIA, right?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So I decided that, that's just a waste of time because why would I want to go to the university to do accounting and not be seen as a professional and then have to write the ACCA or
ACCA.
the ICA? So what I decided to do was to pursue a different career and then have the ACCA as an additional profession. Basically, I wanted to be very competitive in the job market.
Job
That was
market.
it. So I decided to, after doing business, pursue economics and mathematics and start at the University of Ghana. So I did
So wait,
economics,
you
statistics.
did
Yes.
business. Oh,
Yes.
oh, so you mean the first and second year is a general course. That was the business, right?
No. So for Accra Academy, basically your whole senior high school
Oh,
experience
senior
is going
high
to be
school is
business.
what? Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Business. Yeah.
So after my senior high school, I decided to apply for economic stats and mathematics at the University of Ghana. That was
Okay.
my first choice.
Mm.
And I didn't want to go to the business school because, again, just as I mentioned, if I was going to go to the business school, then I was going to read accounting. But
Mm.
I had some few friends who didn't go to the university and then they had to write the
Mm.
ACCA and were professionals. And so, having learned a little economics from my high school, I felt like it was just waste of money to go do accounting. And to actually position myself as a very competitive personnel in the job market, I decided to do something different, which
Okay.
I believe most people also don't like, right? And then probably have the ACCA as maybe something on the side to add up to my qualifications or to maybe to boost my CV whenever I'm applying for a job.
Okay.
So I decided to pursue economics, statistics, and mathematics at University of Ghana, and I ended up doing a double major in economics and mathematics. And I mean, let me just say, God being so good, I graduated with a first class, a strong first class.
Ooh, wow.
So, so that's basically what I did in Ghana, and then I served as a teaching assistant at the maths department
Oh,
for a
wow.
year, yeah, before actually moving to Canada. And
Wow.
I'm saying this because that was actually one of the things that um, helped in securing my spot in Canada.
Oh, wow. Wow. Very intelligent. First class. This is why I always say on my show that guys, um, sometimes when you have maybe a little, if you have a higher lower, getting a scholarship is very competitive. So if you're a first class student, you have a great chance. You have high chances, right? If you're second class upper student, you have a higher chance. If you're let's say second class lower and your lower is a bit, maybe like 2.99, okay, you're almost at second class upper. You will have to explain yourself. You will have to, like, if you're reaching out to professors, you will have to explain yourself. You have to prove to them. But I mean, even with upper and first class, you still have to, whatever emails you send to them, it has to be on point before they even respond to you. So why not? If you're a first class student, it's good, which is why I always encourage you to try your best, study hard, get the good grades, and you'll be good. Okay, so Richmond, now is the time to talk about the scholarship. How you got the scholarship. This is what most people are interested in. Just this morning I got a message. Somebody was like, Gina, listen, I want to apply for a program where I can get a scholarship in Canada. Okay, so this is a school, as I mentioned earlier, in Vancouver. Simon Fraser University is one of the big schools in Canada. You can start looking it up, go through their courses to see what you qualify for, what you can apply to. So Richmond here is going to tell us what and what not to do, especially when it comes to securing a scholarship. So Richmond, how did your journey start? Before you even came to Canada, did you apply to any other school outside of Canada? Why did you even choose Canada?
Yes. So just before I answer that question, I just want to chip in because you mentioned something about having a first class and a
Yeah,
second class and probably second class lower.
yeah.
So I think that most people need to understand that if you want to school outside Ghana, you're
Mm,
actually competing with the rest of the world.
right.
And so your CGPA is very important. Now, especially if you want a scholarship, then you want to make sure that you have a very strong CGPA because you're competing with the best in Canada. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage maybe those who probably may have a second class lower. For a third class, I've never seen anyone with a third class having a scholarship before.
Mhm, mhm.
Maybe, I mean, I might be wrong, or someone can actually um, probably give an example and then prove me wrong. But
Yeah.
I know for most of my friends who secured a good scholarship, it's either you're getting a first class or a second class upper.
Mm-hmm.
If it's even a lower, you want to make sure you get a stronger lower.
Okay.
But with a stronger lower, you always want to make sure you have something like GRE or GMAT
Super.
attached to whatever certificate you have, just
Mm-hmm.
to boost your application,
That's, yeah.
right? Because again, you're competing with the rest of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and where we come from, that is Africa, our certificate is not really valued that much.
Right.
So unless you're a first class student, then of course. If you're a second class student, yes, a strong second class that works. Second class lower, you need to back it up with maybe a GRE,
Mm-hmm.
a GMAT, or whatever required certification exam you're supposed to write. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe once you pass those certification exams with great and excellent scores, you should be able to secure yourself a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the question you asked about my journey and why I chose Canada.
Yeah.
So the honest truth is, I never knew I was coming to Canada.
Oh.
For a young boy who
Yeah.
um, realized that, I mean, learning abroad or getting yourself exposed to resources abroad was one of the better ways to improve myself. and also to develop my intellect.
Yeah.
I had most of my friends telling me, I mean, you have to try your best and then school abroad and then get exposure and then compare it to Ghana. So, I mean, I didn't really restrict myself to Canada to begin with.
Okay.
So I can remember I applied to the German School of Mathematics. I applied to even Rwanda, that is African Institute of Mathematics Aims. I applied to Canada. I applied to, well, I didn't do any school in the UK because, and I'm going to explain. So I didn't do any school in the UK. I didn't do any school in the US. Now, these are my reasons. So before I started my application, I had to do a little bit of consulting to get more information about which country I wanted to go to. Now, the main reason why I didn't choose the UK or apply to the UK was the fact that it was very hard to actually secure a scholarship in the UK. That's at our time. I know times are different now. And so, in order to get a very strong scholarship, you would have to get an external organization to give you the scholarship.
Okay.
And I felt like it was too much for me. Also, because I was a little bit constrained financially when I was in Ghana. I had to fund myself in terms of the application process and everything to actually get to Canada. Now,
To UK?
I wanted to, yeah, to Canada. So I
Okay.
wanted to pursue economics for my master's. But then I realized that I didn't have enough resources because for most of the schools that I was checking, even though I had a first class, I still had to write the graduate record examination. That's the GRE.
Okay.
Now, the good thing for me was I did a double major at University of Ghana. So I did economics and mathematics. So I had two career paths. I can either go the mathematics way or go the economics way. However, I realized that, or I saw the opportunity in the math or mathematics field because I realized most people don't like doing mathematics. And so it doesn't really require you to write a GRE. So the plan was, okay, why don't I just do the mathematics? And then once I'm in whichever country I find myself in, I can now divert after my master's to do my PhD in economics or pursue the economic career. Right. So that was the opportunity I saw. Now, again, the main reason, back to the reason why I didn't choose the UK or the US. So for the UK, during our time, in order to get a good scholarship, it would have to be from an external organization, or you would still have to write this GRE or this GMAT, which I didn't have enough finances for, right? So, I mean, I had to rethink the whole process and find maybe a good, easy way out, right?
Yeah.
Because again, most of my friends, and I want to give credit to one of my friends who is Kayan. Maybe one of these days I'll try and then have him here to also share his experience.
Sure.
So he's a PhD student. He just graduated last year in engineering, and he's doing his postdoc in New York at the moment. So he actually motivated me to actually start my whole process, right? Now, again, the UK was a no-go area for me, given the reasons I've mentioned earlier. Now, to the US, for the US, I knew very well that if you were in school, you can actually work. And after school, you would have to go through some stringent processes to be able to get some permit or, I mean, visas, especially if you're a master's student, to actually get yourself to work. Not to say that I don't have faith in myself, that maybe I might secure a good job and the job might sponsor me, but I mean, the probability of that happening was very slim.
Exactly.
So what I decided to do was to look for countries that I believe after your master's, you can easily secure maybe a work permit or something to work and then earn something, right? So that is why I chose Canada.
Canada. Okay.
And also because I realized, from my research, I observed that most people didn't really like coming to Canada because of the weather. So I knew they needed more people at our time. But now, I know there's been a cap on the number of international students that are supposed to come in. So that was my main reason why I chose Canada. Also being influenced by some of my peers. So I had most of my friends actually coming to Canada, with a few going to the UK and a few also going to the US. So, I mean, even though US were giving good money in terms of the scholarship, I was thinking long term. I mean, I was thinking about settling, right? So I decided to choose Canada.
Canada, yeah.
And in choosing Canada, I decided to choose mathematics because, again, I wasn't financially sound to be able to pay for the GRE and then write it and then apply for economics, right? So then I decided to pursue the master's program in mathematics.
Good, good.
Again, because I like to challenge myself, I did pure mathematics in Ghana, but because I want to challenge myself, and I've always heard people saying that they don't see what you can use mathematics for. So I decided to do a master's in applied and computational math.
Okay.
So that's where the whole application process actually started.
Okay.
So basically, I wanted to move away from the pure math and do something applied, right? And one of my motivation has always been to always do things that people don't like. Why? Because I think the career paths that people are running away from, that's where you can actually get more money from.
Okay.
Because then you don't have enough people competing with you. Right? Yes. Especially the hot cake career path.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
So can you tell us the difference between the pure math and the applied math?
Yes. So for pure math, you're basically doing things that are a little bit abstract. Applied, as the word goes, you're doing basically more application in mathematics. So it will surprise you that, I mean, math is basically using neurology, that's brain cells.
Yeah,
math is actually using analyzing and picturing how cancer actually spreads through the human body. But most people do not know all this, right?
Wow.
So math is actually appreciated in so many fields, but it's really not known, right? And the same with stats as well. So it was when I decided to pursue applied math, I got to know that, I mean, you could use math in all these fields. But my interest was in finance and then economics.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So that's where, because I enjoy doing business. Right. But when I started the whole program, I realized you can actually use math for doing all those things. So pure math is basically you sitting in class and doing the abstract. So you're basically doing theory. That's it. But with applied, you are adding some application to the theories that you are studying. Right.
Yeah.
And well, I would no offense to those doing pure math, but I think applied is way difficult than pure math. Yeah. So you'll be doing abstract things for pure math, but with applied math, you'll be doing a lot of applications. Trust me, I keep telling people AI and machine learning was born out of applied statistics and mathematics. No doubt about it. Yes.
Okay, great.
Basically,
Well, for me, I don't like math, so so there's somebody, Pa Ansa says, my one and only TA way back 2018. Yeah, he's very intelligent and classy. I agree with that. He's very classy.
I didn't know I was going to meet some of my students here anyway.
Okay, so guys, now let's start with the scholarship application process. How did you start?
Okay, so I just want to start with the school journey because my scholarship actually was part of the school journey. So I believe that anyone applying for a school would always want to check whether there's a scholarship or not. So this is how I started my application. So I just went online and they just typed top 20 schools in Canada.
Okay, guys, this is the most, sorry, not to cut you. Guys, this is the most important schools. Just today, this morning, somebody has texted me to send them schools in Canada. And I always say on my show, listen, anytime that I bring people to share the experience, they mention a school they have gone to. They mention schools that they even applied for. So this is all information we're giving out. And even when you go to Google and you type schools in Canada, maybe colleges in Canada, universities in Canada, you will find them. You go to the universities, you find the provinces they are in, you find the programs they do and such. If you have an interest in those areas, okay, so come on, don't text me. It's like in the beginning I used to do that. People would send me and I'll send them a whole list, but the show has been like, we are more than a year now, and I want you to pay attention anytime we're doing these videos because so please go ahead.
Yes, so I just searched top 20 schools in Canada.
Good.
And then there were the schools, right? So you see so many schools. But you need to be specific and then look out for the schools that actually provide or actually have your program of choice. So
Exactly.
not every school in Canada has your program of choice.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to look at the schools that do have your program of choice. So, I mean, at the end of the day, out of the 20 schools, I had like maybe 3 or 4. So I
Okay.
had to extend it to maybe top 50 schools in Canada. Now, I just want to mention this in passing that in Canada, even though you may come to some universities, but not all universities or colleges would guarantee a work permit after your school.
Yeah.
So it's something that people don't know. And so we have a lot of, I mean, blacks coming into Vancouver specific. And then after school, they realize that their school are not part of the list of schools that you are supposed to attend in order to get a work permit to work after school.
Good. With
So,
that mentioned, let me chip in this, guys, about this. I have done a video on that. How to check the schools with postgraduate work permits, okay, with a DLI number. And if you're going to get your postgraduate work permit, it's on this page. All you need to do is to type Gina Amy, how to verify if you can get a PGW postgraduate work permit after school. So you can go back and watch that video as well. Yeah. Please go
okay,
ahead.
that's good. Thank you for the resource. Yeah. So again, I mean, basically that's what I did. And then after, I mean, selecting the schools with the
Yeah.
programs that were being offered at the schools. So I quite remember I even applied to University of Alberta.
Mm,
But with the University of Alberta, I chose mathematical finance because
okay.
again, I knew I wanted to go into applied math, basically in economics or finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing was to check each school. So it was so one thing that most people don't know is the application process is a very stressful
Mm-hmm.
process and people always give up. So trust me, if you want to apply for a school, it's no joke.
Yeah.
And people always take it for granted. And that's why the agents actually come in. And I don't want to really talk much about the agents because I have my own reservations about them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where people will just take your money and do some stuff for you guys. And then, I mean, you end up in Canada being stranded.
My dear,
So,
mention, you know what? This is very important. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. See, people reach out to me. I always say that I would always encourage you to do your own application. However, if you think that you can't do it for some reason, maybe time, because of whatever is going on in your life, you can't do it and you want me to do it for you, that is fine. There are people who go to agents, they do the application, and the money they are charging, my goodness, it's ridiculous. Like somebody can charge somebody $10,000. $10,000. And even with that, they won't give you your password, the information that they are putting in to apply for the school for you. You don't even know what information they are using. And the bottom line is, after you have come here, let's say you've gone through the education process, you are doing your PR. You at that point, the information you provided when you were coming to Canada should be the same information you provide when you're doing your PR. Otherwise, trust me, they will get back to you. And I'm telling you this from experience. So it is very, even if somebody is doing your application for you, guys, get involved in the application. Know what information they are putting on there. Be involved. Get your passwords. And for you, even for somebody to charge you $5,000 for school application, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So for the agents, okay, let's move
So
on.
yes, I have my own reservation for the
Mhm.
agents, but I mean, I wouldn't want to say much because I mean everyone and what they like. But I just want to say, just
Mhm.
to add up quickly, that if I was able to do my application on my own, I believe that you can also do it
You
on
can
your own.
also do it, yeah.
If you are able to complete a university with a first class or a second class upper or a second class lower, then you can read and write. So you
Yeah.
can always, I mean, apply for schools. All the information it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's a saying that Africans or maybe blacks do not like
Don't like to
reading.
read. Yeah.
Yes. So all the information is out there. You just have to spend some time and then read and get all the information you need to be able to apply for whatever you need to apply for.
Yeah.
So don't go spending thousands of dollars to pay an agent to actually um, do some application for you. Now they are just individuals like yourself. If you were able to do it, then you can actually do it yourself.
Do it, yeah.
So I always recommend that. It's always good to also reach out to people, because I have people reaching out to me on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and sometimes on Facebook, even though I hardly come on Facebook, about the application process. There's one guy that is a little bit stranded with his visa application, and he's been WhatsApping me, and then we've been chatting.
Yeah.
We may not always be available, but at least the little information we might give you might help you in
Right.
facilitating your whole application or visa process. Yeah, so that's just by the way. But
And that is why, like, people like myself and some other content creators are doing things like this. I may not have all the, I do not have all the information. So that is why we try to invite people on the page. And this is why you need to share the video, so that people can always bring their questions. Even after the video, people text, comment on the video, and I come back to answer them. I may not have all the answers. I consult people who have the answers. They give me the answer, and I respond back to the questions you ask. Okay, so this is why we have these Facebook pages, and we are giving you as much information as possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just to continue. So yeah, so once I can see there are a few questions in the comment section. I'll try and then answer them when I get to those spots.
Before we answer them, let's just go on with the scholarship. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, that's how I started. So again, once I settled with the schools that I felt were offering the program of my choice, I decided to again check the funding available at the school. So one thing that everyone needs to also understand is every school is different. So for instance, when it comes to Vancouver, we have two major schools here. Big school. So we have the Simon Fraser University, and we have University of British Columbia, UBC. Now, even though they are neighboring or sister schools, the application process at UBC is different from the application process at SFU. So the application process for a particular application is specific for it's different for a particular school.
So yeah.
And it's also different for the department in the school.
Okay.
So even though you are coming to SFU and you are applying for mathematics, your application process may not be the same as someone who is applying for economics.
Yeah.
So you always have to make sure once you check in the school, you have to check with the department what exactly are the requirements for your application.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I did next. So after getting all the schools, because I knew that the application process for econ or economics is different from the application process for mathematics, I had to tailor my focus on the maths department.
Okay.
So again, that's how come I got to know they don't take GRE, but the econs department do take GRE, whether you're a first class student or whatever your class is. Right?
You still have to write it. Oh.
Yes, you still have to write the GRE. Yes. So yes. So once you tailor your search to the department in the school that you want to apply to, now you can check at the department, because every department has a web page.
Okay.
So you can check at the department what the scholarship or what the funding available is and how that is awarded. Now, this is where I need to explain this to everyone. So I keep hearing people saying, I want to apply for scholarship, I want to apply for scholarship, I want to apply for scholarship. Now, we have external scholarships and we have what I call internal scholarships.
Okay.
So external scholarships are basically the funding or scholarships that you get outside from the school that you're applying to. So it could be from an NGO or any organization, right? Or it could be from, whoever is actually giving the scholarship beside your school.
Okay.
And then we have the internal scholarship. So the internal scholarship is basically one, you gain admission with a scholarship. So most people always get admission and then they are being offered some form of funding. And the funding may come in so many packages. It may come in the form of, we are going to give you some money, but for the major part of the money, you have to be working as a teaching assistant. Or for the major part of the money, you have to be working as a research assistant.
Okay.
Right. So there are so many packages that comes with the funding. In Canada, what I've realized is most schools actually, once they give you the admission, they give you either part funding or a full funding.
Okay.
Right. So in Canada, most schools actually admit students with a funding package as part of the admission package, right?
Mhm.
So for those who want clarity on how to apply for scholarship, I guess it's either you're going the external way or you're applying to schools that do offer scholarships.
Yeah.
Now, not all Canadian schools actually do offer scholarship on admission.
Mhm.
Example is, for instance, in Vancouver, we have KPU, Queensland Polytechnic University,
Yeah. Mhm.
University of Canada West. All those
Mhm.
schools do not admit you on scholarship.
And scholarship. Yeah.
They've actually provided all this information on their website.
Mhm.
So it's very important to distinguish these schools from the schools that do offer, how do you call it, scholarship.
Yeah.
I beg to differ, but basically that's my opinion. I think most of the most of the big schools or the best schools do offer scholarship on admission.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's only the little university,
The
which I
college.
believe most
Yeah.
people, yes, exactly, would want to also apply because I know the admission rate is very high,
Mhm.
especially for those who want to come to Canada. So I've just recommended two schools in Vancouver:
Mhm.
KPU, Queensland Polytechnic University, University of
That's
Canada
my
West.
school.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to really come to Canada, you can just try applying to those schools, and the admission rate is very high. Okay, so back to that. So once you check from the department websites what their funding is, and you're okay with it, because they give you how to get a funding on the
Mhm.
funding webpage. So they're going to tell you, okay, this is how we give the funding,
Yeah.
and this is how you're going to get. This is how much you might, the least amount you might get, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So for my case, let me just focus on my case. For my case, for SFU mathematics department, I'll speak about the economics department as well.
Mm.
For the mathematics department, what I basically did was that when I checked, they told me, I mean, you can apply for funding. I mean, once you get admission, you're going to get a fund, right? So I knew that in order to get more funding, I had to reach out to a professor.
Mm.
Because again, just as I mentioned earlier, you can either get a funding package to a teaching assistantship work or through a research assistantship work.
Mhm. Mhm.
And regardless, I'll still need a supervisor for my master's program. So that's where I had to do another extra work by going to the university, the department webpage, and then glancing through all the professors that were actually doing things that I was interested in.
Interested in.
Yes. So it may not be something close to what you are interested in, but it could be something similar,
Yeah.
right? Most often, most of the professors might be doing something different from what you want, but in terms of the field, it's just the same field, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you would have to probably get the closest professor who is doing what you are interested in.
Mhm.
Are we
Mhm.
okay? And
Yeah.
then the next thing is some schools will tell you it's not recommended to write to professors or it's not compulsory to. But I always tell students it's a strategy to actually do that.
Mm.
In the sense that once you write to a professor or two professors, when they go to the admission table, they look through all the admission that is being submitted and then
Mhm.
they choose. So most of you don't know, but the admission board is made up of professors.
Yeah.
Professors who are teaching in the school, they are
Mhm.
the same people who are on the admission board for the department.
Mm.
So the main reason why we advise students to write to professors is to probably get themselves acquainted with the professor, or at
Yeah.
least get the name in the professor's head
Yeah.
psychologically.
Yeah.
And the second thing I do is I always admonish students to also write intentionally to the graduate program chair or the graduate program assistant,
Oh,
just to make them know that you are also interested in the school.
interested. Yeah.
Exactly. So once you do that, they kindly take note of you because they know they're going to receive a lot of applicants. But
Mhm.
not all applicants would be willing to attend their school. Some of
Yeah.
them are just applying because they want to get options.
Mhm.
But once you do that, they see you as a very serious student.
Yeah.
It's very important because a friend of mine in Alabama actually did the same thing. And I last 2 years, when before I had the admission to Simon Fraser University, I had the opportunity of applying to Michigan University for my PhD.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the main Michigan University. And
Mm.
then I had the graduate program chair sending me an email when I was shortlisted, but later told me my slot had been taken. But
Oh.
he encouraged me to email him if I'm still interested in the slot for next year, right?
Mhm.
That was when, I was doing my PhD 2 years
Yeah.
ago, right?
Mm.
Good. So It's very important to always do that, because once you do that, you kind of like, even if you don't have, even if the question is basic, just send it. Let
Yeah.
them have them to answer your questions, and
Mm-hmm.
then have a follow-up questions, right? Even if you know what the answer to the question is. I always tell people it's just a reverse psychology. Just do that, just to get them to know your name, and to let them know that, oh, you're caring about the university, blah blah blah, sort of,
Yeah.
right? Good. Now, for most universities, where you write to professors, now there is a part where people might not be happy about, but for some of the professors or for some of the departments, you have to do an interview. Now, for the maths department, I did an interview, but for the econ department, I didn't do an interview.
Okay.
Why? Because for the econ department, what I did was I'm always an opportunist. So I used the fact that I'm in Canada to visit the graduate chair, and had a one-on-one chat with him instead of
Wow.
sending him an email. And
Okay.
then I had to ask him questions. So
Mm.
he kind of like got my face and my name in his head,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like got it into his head, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that was also one of the reasons, beside my qualification, that got me into the program. So for most of the departments, you might be granted an interview by the professor,
Mm.
especially if you're getting a research assistantship job. So once you pass the interview, then you can actually how do you call it? Once you pass the interview, I always believe that after the interview, you would always know if you're going to get admission or not,
Or
right?
not.
Because some universities would only give you the funding when the professor actually decides to approve you as a student.
Mm.
Yes. So it's something that you always have to prepare for, right? For most
Mm.
of the schools. Some of the schools you don't have to do an interview, just as I mentioned. Or some of the
Mm.
departments you wouldn't have to do an interview, right? Yes.
Okay.
So that's basically what happened. And so I had an interview with my prof on Skype, I remember. And then again, you need to understand the Canadian culture
Mm.
in your interview process, irrespective of. So I had never been to Canada before, but again, I had to do my own research on
How
how
did you
the
do?
Canadian
How did
culture.
you do your own research? How? What are some of the questions they asked you? Did you watch videos on YouTube? How did you do it?
No, so you just have to go on YouTube and see what Canadian. So I think now everything's online. You can just Google Canadian culture, what to expect, what not to expect for an interview in Canada, what are the best things, and then just watch as many as you can.
Yeah.
So I think for me, what did the magic for me was the fact that after I was able to explain to him why I was interested in the field, I tried to bring it to the fact that I just I don't need a supervisor. I
Mm.
need someone who is going to mentor me, and I
Okay.
need someone I can see as a family.
Oh.
And I know in Canada they don't joke with family like
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
so. That was maybe the magic for me. I don't know what magic might work for you. Maybe mine might not work for you. So, in my interview, he asked me, "Do I have any questions?" And the first question I asked him is, "Are you married?" And then he smiled. So
Yeah.
I believe that is something that no one has ever asked
Okay.
since his interview. So he smiled and he was like, "Yeah." So I asked him, "Oh, how many kids do you have?" And then he mentioned it. So again, I knew where my conversation was going.
You
So then
know,
I asked
this
him,
alone is even very catchy. Like he will always remember. I remember you.
exactly. So then
Yeah.
I asked him, so how do you manage family life with academics as a professor? So you see, I
You are
kind of
even
like,
asking the questions.
exactly. So I kind of like moved all the way
Mm-hmm.
behind, went
Mm-hmm.
into his life because he went into my life by asking some
Mm-hmm.
questions. So I
Mm-hmm.
went into his life just to show that I'm also concerned. Now,
Yeah.
every professor is looking for someone to have a long working relationship with.
Yes. Okay.
So when they are doing the interview, they are not doing the interview to see how intelligent you are.
You
They
are.
are doing the interview to see if they can easily bond with you or if they
Mm.
can have a good working relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
So once they have the interview, beside your qualification, if there's a chemistry, that's it for you.
Okay.
So I tried as I'm a how do you call it? I'm good at having conversation. That is my strength. So I had
Mm.
to play on that. So then I just use that to my advantage, right?
Mm.
So once I asked him that question, and then I kind of like moved all the way from his family life, and then brought him back to the main focus of the interview,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is why I want to work with him. So then I told him, how does he manage? And then he told me his experience. And I asked him, I can't remember asking him, what would be one of the best advice, which is mostly what I ask professors, what would be the best advice he would give to a first year master student? basically, if he's to turn the hands of time, what is the one thing that he's going to change if he had the chance to become a master's student again?
Okay.
Right. So then this person knows that you are willing to learn, you are willing to be coached, you are willing to be mentored. And because trust me, professors are not looking for, even though yes, they want people who are intelligent, they are always not looking for high intelligent people, as people may always think. No. They are looking for someone they can coach, someone they can transfer their skills to. Now it's quite different from Africa or Ghana, right? Because in Ghana, professors always behave differently. But here they are looking for someone they can coach, someone they can transfer whatever they've learned, the skills that they've acquired so far to. Because here in the Western world, the professor would want to retire and then say that that is my student, right? So that is some of the key things that they are looking for. So you always have to be very smart in your interviews if you have the chance to go for one. And then don't always be serious, right? It's good to be serious, but you can actually turn the conversation a little bit around, make it lively, so that the professor can have that chemistry with you, and then you can draw the conversation back to serious stuff. So, I mean, once I had a conversation with the prof, I knew I was going to get a job because he basically mentioned it technically in the interview that being a TA at University of Ghana is just the same thing I'm going to do at SFU. Now, I'm not saying that becoming a TA is actually crucial in getting a scholarship, but it plays a very important role in gaining admission and also getting a scholarship abroad, right? I've had friends who never did teaching assistantship job but still secured a scholarship. But it actually it gives you an advantage, right? So for those who want to probably further the education, for those who are still in school, I would advise that if you have the opportunity to be a TA in the field that you want to pursue, it really helps in becoming gaining admission and also getting a scholarship. Because I told you most of the scholarship packages comes with becoming a teaching assistant. So they need experience as well. So once you have the experience from Ghana, they believe that you can easily do the job. Correct. Yes. So that's how I secured my scholarship at Simon Fraser University.
Just with an interview?
Yes, with an interview. But for my PhD at the economics department, there was no interview. But the magic again was the fact that I had to reach out to some professors, and I also had to reach out to the graduate chair. So with the graduate chair, I did it in person. And for the professors, I had to send them an email. Now, not all professors are going to reply your email. You need to understand that. But it doesn't also mean that they've not seen your email. So my supervisor I'm working now, when I sent the email to her, she was on sabbatical leave. So technically, she wasn't going to reply my email. But when I gained admission to the economics department, in my first year, I met her and she was like, "Hi, Richmond, I know you. So I've seen your email, but I'm sorry I couldn't reply your email because I was on sabbatical leave." So technically, she saw the email, but again, I mean, she was on sabbatical leave, so she couldn't reply to the email. It doesn't mean that she doesn't want to work with you. It happens a lot. And I had some professors, especially for, so again, I wanted to do a PhD in finance. So I emailed some professors and I had some professors replying to me as early as within 3 minutes. Yes. So maybe that will bring me to what to actually send to the professors. So I wrote an email telling the professors who I was. So my name, I introduced myself, my name, and then my background from my undergrad to my master's and the projects that I did in terms of, so basically when you introduce yourself, you tell them your field and you tell them a little bit of what you've done so far, right? So once you tell them a little bit of what you've done so far, then you let them know. So I drew them back to their pages. So I told them I've read this on their pages. I've read a couple of papers from them, and it's aligning with what I want to do, my interest, which is basically, and I state my interest, right? Now, most often, what you want to do is not the same thing as what they want to do, but they are just similar. They are just on the same path. So I told them my interest, and I told them based on, I mean, my readings and my research, I think they will be a good supervisor. So would they be okay to kind of like have me as their student, and then maybe we can work together to have a good relationship. Basically, that was the email. And then I just attached my CV, my transcript.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, so I just attached my CV and my transcript. Now, CV was also very important in your application. So if you want to gain, so the scholarship has so many things. One, your GPA.
Yeah.
Two, your CV. Three, your statement of purpose, of what most of you would call research statement. Right. So, of course, we know what transcript is. Your CV plays a very important role in your application process.
I think I need to bring somebody on board to teach people how to draft an academic CV.
Exactly. That would be very good for your viewers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, we don't call it CV in Ghana. In Africa we call it CV.
Yeah.
But you need to know that it's called a resume.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't do CV. You do resume when you're applying for schools abroad. Right.
Yeah.
So your resume is actually very important. How you draft your resume, whatever you put on your resume, can actually sell you out. Bear in mind, you are not there to actually sell yourself out.
Yeah.
So your resume should be able to sell you out. Right. Yes. So you always need to make sure your resume is selling out, right? And it shouldn't be long. Most schools will tell you maximum 2 pages. Some schools will tell you just a page. Resume is okay. So you need to be strategic about your resume, right?
Yeah.
What to put there, what not to put there. Don't put in unnecessary stuff, and make sure you tailor it to the program that you are doing.
Yeah.
Right. In Ghana, I know people mix their CV up. I was one of them, because when I was in Ghana, I used to have about like 3 pages CV, but now my CV is just literally just a page, and sometimes 2 pages.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, just reduce your CV to maybe a page or 2. That is the standard. No one is going to spend a lot of time to read everything. So make sure you put the relevant stuff on the CV. Someone may ask, what are the relevant stuff? You can put in maybe your education background, your interest, your leadership skills. And I would always advise for those in Africa to actually engage themselves in maybe internship or community service. It's very important, because people don't engage themselves in community service, right? So engage yourself in those community service or internship, because those are some of the experiences that you may put on your CV to be able to, apply for the scholarship. Because again, the people here are always looking for experienced people. Now, it's because when you come to the western part of, the world, the young adults are actually working whilst in school.
Yeah.
By the time they are done with their university, or they are even high school or colleges, they have a lot of experience. But in Africa, maybe, I don't know the situation now, we don't have such curriculum.
I wasn't doing that at the time.
So
when I was in school.
So you always want to make sure you take advantage of every internship opportunity, or it could be a voluntary work. Just take advantage of it, so that you can actually showcase that you have a good leadership skill, and you have a good working relationship. So that is very important. Research statement, there are so many materials on how to draft your research statement. You can just Google them and see how to do your research statement. Again, you can always write to people abroad via LinkedIn or any platform to actually ask them about, your research statement. You can send it to them, they can proofread and then send it to you. And then that can actually work. So basically, those are some of the things that I had to do to be able to secure myself, a scholarship at Simon Fraser University. For the external scholarship, trust me, you need to be the best of best. Because for the external scholarship, you're going to compete with a lot of people. And most likely highly intelligent students. And you have to go through a lot of stringent process to be able to get it. Not to discourage everyone, you can actually get it. But for me, I felt like it was just, a long, way to go, and then a waste of time. Some schools, I just want to mention, some schools do have internal scholarships. And when I mean internal, again, I'm talking about something like bursary. So you need to also be looking out for such schools. I remember there was a friend who was going to Toronto, and she had a admission, and she wasn't going to get a full scholarship. So she was asking me before leaving Ghana whether she should go ahead and then accept the admission. So I told her, okay, let's look into the school. So once we checked the school, we realized that they have what we call bursary.
Okay.
So I told her, why not? Just accept it, because if they're giving you 70%, then it means that, I mean, you can apply for bursary, and chances are maybe the bursary you're going to get maybe extra 10% or extra 20%. Now, the remaining 10% for Canada, and that is the main reason why, again, I didn't go to the US. For Canada, you have 20 hours of school to actually work.
Like, yeah.
So you can actually work, and then the proceeds that you get from your work, you actually channel it towards paying maybe the 10% or the remaining 20% and your rent. And I know food is very cheap in Canada, so
Yeah.
you can always maintain. And then with time, you realize that you'll be good to go. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about this. What did your scholarship entail with the master's program you came to do?
Yeah.
What was the package?
So for my package, it was basically teaching assistantship. So I got an entrance scholarship award. That was good money though, yes. So I got an entrance scholarship award because my GPA was very high.
Wow.
And then I got, how do you call it? A scholarship from my supervisor. So my supervisor was supposed to give me money towards my research. And then also I got a scholarship for teaching as well. So there's a funding for the first year, there's a funding available for those who want to teach. But for the subsequent years, you would have to apply for those teaching slots.
Okay.
Right. So for my package, it was basically RA, TA, and the special entrance scholarship award. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. So, but so while doing your masters, did you also work outside of campus, like the 20
Yes,
hours?
I did. For my first year, no, because I had to settle in Canada.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, applied maths is no joke. So I had to concentrate, and then, yeah. But I think when I was almost done with school, I had to do some job outside campus because I also wanted the experience. It wasn't easy, but yeah, I was doing a night job at Amazon. Yeah, so I quite remember I had to go to Amazon during the night, so I basically don't sleep, and the next morning I have class. So from Amazon, I just go and then go have class. So, but I mean, I just wanted the experience, not because I needed the money, because my professor, I mean, Prof. Trauma was paying me very well.
Oh, that's
One thing that struck me the most was anytime I told him I want to quit the program, he increased my funding. So that was good for me. That was a source of motivation.
But why did you think of quitting? Why was it too much?
Because it was so hard. It was so hard. But
Yeah.
I'm known for doing that because for my how do you call it my undergrad, I quite remember when I also studied economics, mathematics, and statistics. It was so hard because every day you have lectures. So I told my mom, you know what, I think I can do this. So my mom told me, yeah, thanks being to my mom. So my mom told me, even if you're going to get a third class, that's fine. You've done your best. And I had to work so hard because she motivated me and told me I can do it. And thanks to her, I got with I was so proud of myself. Got with a strong first class, doing double major economics and mathematics. I'm sure most of you in your comment section who have been to University of Ghana will understand the stress it goes through. That you have to go through to be able to get all this. And then not only did I just take normal courses, I took more courses because again, I wanted to have two options. So I was doing 3 electives at the University of Ghana. I was doing more economic courses and more mathematics courses because I wanted to give myself that option after school to be able to either choose whether I want to pursue my career in mathematics or pursue my career in economics. Yeah.
Guys, listen, studying in Canada is not easy, especially when you have to work and study at the same time. Charlie, it wasn't easy. Me, when I was in Ghana, when I was in university, I wasn't working and studying at the same time. But here, I feel like, the kids here, even when they're in high school, when they come out of school or during vacation, they work. So they kind of get used to it, right? So for you to come into the system and working and studying at the same time, it becomes a real struggle. Trust me. Yeah, but you can do it. We all did it. So why not, right? So now let's come to the questions, guys. I hope you have stayed with us. I'm gonna go by. So Michael Ansa says hi. Juliet Vafa says hi. Hi Adora. Let's see. Oh, Pa Ansa. Okay. Let's see some questions here. Let's Michael Tete. Let's read. Let's
Mhm.
answer his question.
So, what other programs would you recommend for someone with an undergraduate in accounting apart from MBA? I don't have financial means to write there. Yeah, so I mean, you can do how do you call it, finance, because if you want to do, I mean, MBA is basically for business. That's their master's program. But then we have BSc finance, so you can look at that option and then apply to do that as well. That's for the trust me, you have no option than to do GMAT. You have to write your GMAT or your GRE to actually school abroad. That is, I don't know why, but I think maybe our certification is not solid. So you can do anything about that unless you want to go my route and then probably come and do mathematics. But
Yeah.
again, there are some schools that do not take GMAT or GRE, so you can look out for those such schools, right? So there are some schools generally they offer BSc in MSc in finance and other programs, and you wouldn't have to write GRE, a GMAT. But again, you have to be on the watch out because such schools might probably not offer you a scholarship. Even if they're offering a scholarship, the package is not that good. So it means that when you have to strive to be able to pay your fees. And I know for sure that you know that, I mean, for those of you who want to enter into business field, I mean, your fees are very expensive. That's one of the fields that do pay a lot of fees.
Yeah.
MBA, finance, the business schools, they pay a lot of fees. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
But my
Michael.
advice is just try your best, and then if you are scared of GRE, I know for MSc Finance, GMAT actually holds. So I heard GMAT is much easier than GRE. So you can actually write GMAT. Yeah.
Okay.
But you
Yeah,
can't run away.
yeah, and also, so there's a school in the US. Oh, I just forgot the name of the school, but I actually did a video on that. I have a schoolmate from back in university. She's an accounting student. She got a scholarship to this school in the US. So if you want to look into US, it's actually on my page. So you have to probably look for that video and watch. You can get a scholarship without having to write GRA or GMAT, just so you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Let's
So
see this
if you're
question.
looking at, I mean, not writing GRE or GMAT, I would also advise the US because those are, I mean, they do have a lot of schools that do not take those. So the US
Yeah.
is certainly a good place to go. Not Canada. Canada, you have to, unless maybe you want to sponsor yourself. So yeah.
Yeah.
So Michael, again, getting recommendations from professor is also difficult. Can my supervisor write me a recommendation with a Gmail address? No. So basically, this is how it works. So once you are submitting your application, they would ask for your supervisor's email
Right. And
and maybe contact details. So you provide all those details, and then they are going to send your supervisor an email to actually fill in the the necessary information that he has about you. Sometimes they would just ask you to, I think there was one school that my supervisor had to type out the recommendation on the school's letterhead, and then I had to upload it. Right. But most of the schools, the supervisor would have to do the uploading and the supervisor would have to do the typing. So you don't send an email to the school for a reference. No,
with a
basically
Gmail.
the supervisor, yes,
Yeah.
once you provide the supervisors or your reference or the person recommending you for the school's email and contact details, the school is going to send them an email to the address that you provided, and then your professor is supposed to do the due diligence. But again, you can always remind the professors, because I know how hard professors can be when you're looking for scholarship, when you're looking for recommendations from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, Dinah, Edu, this question, I have done a video on this question. So please go to my page, search. I have done a video just for searching for programs that will get you your postgraduate work permit. Okay. So yeah, that.
This is very important because some agents are actually exploiting a lot of students. So last year we had a lot of students coming in, and then there was a seminar that we organized, and then most of them realized that their schools are not on the list, so
Yeah.
they would have to reapply to another school after
Oh.
2 years of their school, and then after paying all
Waste
those
of
huge
money.
school. Yes, exactly. So it's very important. Once you have any agent who is saying that you can easily get a school in Canada, please make sure you check the PWP. I
Yeah,
mean, I believe Jenna has already done a
yeah,
video on that too. Please
yeah,
go
yeah.
watch that video and then advise
And
yourself
check it for
accordingly
yourself. Verify for
yeah,
yourself.
before you
Yeah,
speak to any agent. But again, my reservation is you can always do your application on
yeah.
your because
Also,
we all did
guys,
our applications on our own. Sure.
stay away from private universities. This is what we are talking about. Lots of agents are bringing people to private universities, and you know what? It's because private universities. Listen, even when you send them just an email, they will tell you to email them your document, and as soon as possible, they'll give you an admission. That's how it works. I know people who came with private university, they had to go back. So please do your own due diligence. Watch the video, check Google, check the school for yourself. If that school is a government university or like a public university where you can get your postgraduate work permit after school. And also the laws have changed. I have done videos on that. The new law that came in January, I did a video on that, and also the updates. I did that last Saturday. So go back, scroll through my page, the videos, and watch them. Okay, so let's go to Michael Tete again.
And before that, I want to give a special shout out to Coach Emi Sase. I think he
He's
just
here.
sent me an email. Sent me a message. I guess so. Yeah. So I mean, those
Hi,
are the pioneers.
Jojo. Hi,
I
little
call them.
bro.
Yeah. I call them the pioneers of Canada. So when I got to Canada, those were the people who
Yeah,
held me, and then yeah. So Kojo, Jonathan Ajiman,
yeah,
Kojo, Lai Budu,
yeah.
and the rest. So yeah, those were the
Kojo,
people
I
who
have
introduced me
always
to
told
this.
you to come on my show. You.
Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah,
Kojo.
Mike Tete. Yeah, my namesake. So I'm just gonna answer that.
Yeah,
So I'm Richmond
yeah.
Tete anyway. So I have a GPA of 3.7, which is very good in accounting. Please, can I apply to University of Prince Edward Island? Most of the schools in
Mhm,
Canada are asking for GMAT and masters. Yeah, I
mhm.
mean, once you meet the requirement for the school, why not? You can always.
And you
I think
qualify.
your CGPA is really good. 3.7 is very high out of 4. So I mean, you can. But I can see you are very smart. So
Yeah.
why don't you want to write the GRE or the GMAT and be free?
I mean,
I
it gives
mean,
you a higher chance.
exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
keep saying.
Mhm.
As a brother, for my namesake, I always advise you to. We always like the easy way, but sometimes it's good to pass through the more difficult ways
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that
He's
is
really
actually a
Tete.
standard and then the how do you call it a very how do you call it promised path to take, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would advise that. I mean, why not write it? Okay, well, you say you don't have the financial means. So if you don't have the financial means, then of course, yes, try and then apply to the schools that you think do not take the GRE. And as Gina said, you can try looking at the US, and then after your master's in the US, you can quickly come to Canada. It's possible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I have some friends after schooling in the US because in the
They did
US,
it.
once you're done, yes, once you're done with your master's, unless you want to pursue your PhD, you have to go back to your country, your home country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what they did is some of them are doing teaching job, which is
Mm,
why they're in the US, but some of them had to move to Canada to actually find a job, right?
mm,
So
mm.
I mean, the US and Canada are just sisters, so you can
Yeah.
always move into
Yeah.
Canada. So, but you can look at the US schools, and then yeah. But if the school you mentioned, um, you meet all the requirements and they provide some funding, or you think you can actually afford the fees, why not? You can just go there and apply for it.
Yeah. So with my schoolmate that I mentioned, she's currently in the US, and I told her, listen, I know that in the US you may not get a work permit even after school. And even if you get, the possibility that the company you work with is gonna sponsor you is very, it's 50-50. You never know. So you can also explore the express entry route. So right before you even get your certificate, you write your IELTS, you have work experience from Ghana, you put in your express entry to come to Canada, and you'll be coming to Canada with your PR. So yeah, you can also explore that. So hey, Michael, you have a lot of questions. Hey, Michael.
So he mentioned something about tuition deposit. So I mean, I've worked with student accounts before at SFU, and so I have a little idea about what the tuition deposit does. So
Okay.
basically, the tuition deposit is part of your visa application process.
Mm.
I'm not too sure if Ghana is part of, I mean, this whole process, but I know for some countries you have to pay this tuition deposit in order to do your visa application, right?
Mm.
I'm not too sure why you're supposed to, for a master's program, I'm not too sure why you're supposed to pay a tuition deposit. But
Yeah.
if you're supposed to pay a tuition deposit, then I guess maybe it's towards the, well, so I don't know if you were granted a scholarship or not. If you were, then I don't think you really need a tuition deposit. But if you were not, then basically this is just to show that you have a good financial standing to maybe take care of yourself once you get to Canada, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm saying, I stand to be corrected though. But if you are supposed to pay a tuition deposit, then it means that you didn't get scholarship.
You didn't get
So
scholarship.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you basically want to, and again, if you can afford it, why not? But if you can afford it, I would always advise you to either seek for external scholarship or maybe look to a different school if you can afford it, right?
Okay. Yeah. So
Congratulations as well.
yeah, Godfrey's a brilliant guy. Thank you, Godfrey. Michael, would you advise someone with research experience to apply for a thesis-based master's program in Canada?
Yeah, so I mean, so let me explain this. So we have thesis-based masters and project-based masters. I mean, the difference is for a project, you just do a presentation at the end of your master's program. But for a thesis-based, you have to defend your thesis, right? And most likely for, I wouldn't say project-based cannot be published, but thesis-based masters are, I mean, they are basically research works that can be published, right? So that's the difference between the thesis-based and the project-based, I mean, master's program. If you don't have a research experience, yes, of course, you can apply for a thesis-based. Because I didn't have any research experience in Ghana. I only did a project in my final year, and that is what I used in actually applying for my program. So yes, if you don't have a research experience, that is fine. Some professors do acknowledge and then accept students who do not have much research experience, right? Like my current supervisor that I'm working with, she realized that I don't have a lot of research experience in economics, but we are still working either ways. So I don't think that is a problem, right? But if you've done a project, I think that is also good because that is a stepping stone to be able to do a thesis-based, I mean, master's program. So you can just highlight if you've done how do you call it? If you've done how do you call it? A project, right? It's very important you do a project, right? It's very important. Yeah.
Okay, so Pa and Sal says again, Richie overly deserved all those awards he mentioned. He's a solid guy. Oh yes, he is. Sure, those
I
three
don't know this.
points at
I don't know this part guy, but anyway.
Oh, do you know him? You don't know him personally?
I don't remember his face. I don't remember. I had
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
students, so yeah.
I graduated from HND in Business Administration and Management. Is there a possibility of getting a scholarship? HND? No, no. Am I wrong? Rich, am I wrong?
That's a diploma in business administration and
Yeah,
management.
HND, and it's also in Canada. No.
Well, I mean, some schools might because when I was
HND.
applying for, yeah, that's a diploma program, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I remember this because I was applying for the PhD in finance at a business school. So I know that there was some slot for people who had diploma, right? So some schools, yes, of course, they are going to
With a
accept you.
scholarship.
Yes, some schools they would, yeah, because I mean they all count to you having experience in academia, right?
Okay.
So it depends on which particular field that she really wants to get to. If she still wants to get to maybe the business field or maybe MSc finance, of course, it's possible. So for
Okay.
some schools, yes, that is very possible.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
First time hearing this. Okay, so hi y'all. Hey Michael. Oh Michael, you're the top commenter today. The recommendation letter earlier was that.
Oh yes, yes. So they can use their Gmail address here. That's of course. I mean that's their contact address. So the professors can always use their Gmail address. Yeah. The most important thing is they always have to check their Gmail to make sure they receive how do you call it, notification from the school you're applying to actually.
With that, I am not sure about that because I have done myself and my team. We've done a couple of applications, and we do not recommend Gmail. It should be like a professional email. It should be like let's say something. Yeah, Gina, Amy, Kwame Polytechnic University, or International Recruitment Center. Something like that. But for your personal Gmail.
He's saying that can the professor use their Gmail? He can, but it's not professional. That's the thing. So the professor can still use their Gmail, but it's not professional. So for instance, if let's say you go to my website and then if you type Richmond, and then the information that was provided is the same thing as what I have on my website, then of course. So if you go to my website and you see Richmond Tete, University of Ghana, or Simon Fraser University, richmondtete@gmail.com, or blah, blah, blah. Of course, you can use it. That's your contact address. But as to whether it's professional, that is also debatable. Does it make sense? So yes, of course, your supervisor can use it because that's their contact address. But as Gina is saying, that is not professional, right? Because if your supervisor or your professor is working in an institution, it is assumed that he or she has an email address at that institution, right? So I mean, that is not professional, but he can actually use it because that is their contact information.
Okay. Right? Emmanuel Frempa, we have mentioned that you need to Google the schools and then search for the programs that you are interested in, and if you can get a scholarship. Biochemistry.
You can try Simon Fraser University because I had some friends doing biochemistry and chemistry. So you can try Simon Fraser University. Yeah.
Okay.
I think UBC also does the same thing.
Okay.
But I mean, let me just say this because I keep telling people for Canada, there are some schools that have realized that they have high admission rates for blacks. Simon Fraser University is one, UBC is one. How do you call it? Saskatchewan is one, Calgary is one, right? So they have high admission rate for blacks. So you see a lot of blacks actually going to such schools. So maybe you can just look out for such schools and see if maybe you might get admission. Right.
I have the
second class lower. If you have, so basically he has a bachelor's degree in mathematics education with second class lower, GPA 2.82. Is there any affordable university for me at Canada funded? Okay, so I forgot to say this. For most schools in Canada, the cutoff GPA is 3.0. Right. So, I mean, in your case, I wouldn't want to say no, but that's going to be a difficult one, and that's going to be a miracle. Yeah. So it's possible. As I keep saying, it's possible because again, for mathematics, it's a very hard area that people would want to go into. So what I would recommend is why don't you write maybe a GRE or a GMAT just to add up to whatever you have, and then maybe submit it as part of your application, right? And see how far you can actually go with this. Because I mean, the field is a very tough field, that is mathematics, and then not everyone is into BEd mathematics, right? So it's actually possible. I wouldn't say it's not possible, it's actually possible.
Yeah, and but that is why I mentioned that is why I actually mentioned earlier that you need to, with this a situation like this, you need to prove yourself beyond reasonable doubt. Why did you graduate with 2.82? It could be that from first year to let's say third year, you were doing great. Like when you check your transcript, you were doing amazing. It could be that something happened along the line. Maybe you fell sick, something happened. So when they review your transcripts, they'll notice that. And you need to prove to them, maybe you can bring some hospital reports and all of that. That is why your GPA dropped within maybe the last year. And that can give you a chance. So with that, it is possible. But you need to prove yourself. You need to tell them why you ended up with that. Okay, let's go to the next question. Getting supervisors at Canadian University is hard. I have emailed a lot, but no response yet.
Just as I mentioned, the fact that the supervisors don't reply to your emails doesn't mean that they haven't seen it. Yes. Yeah. And be careful because I think during my time, one of my friends, Albert, who is in the US, did something like this. So he emailed two professors in the same department who were in the same field. And then one was not responding. The other two, he couldn't probably, I think he didn't hear from them. And then he emailed another professor from the same school, from the same department. Now, I can boldly tell you 100% that these professors always communicate with each other. Yeah. So the other professor the professor that he wrote to him earlier, wrote back to him and told him, why did you write to my other professors if you're looking forward to working with me? But here lies the case, the professor never replied to him to even let him know whether he stands a chance of working with him or not. Right? So sometimes I always advise, again, just for them not to see you as, okay, well, you are just desperate. You just want to get a supervisor to work with. I mean, once you write to two professors from the same department, I think that should be okay.
Okay.
Right? If they don't reply, it doesn't mean that they've not seen it. Some of them would reply, some of them wouldn't reply. They're just going to wait for you to come over. And when you come over, they're going to tell you, okay, well, I saw your email and then, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. Right? Okay. So the fact that you don't get a response doesn't mean that they've not seen it. They've seen it. Right? Okay. And I use myself as an example. Right?
Yeah. And Emmanuel, I have a video on this. So I brought this guy. Oh shoot, I forgot his name, but there's a video on my page where there's this guy who's also came to do his master's and is doing a PhD, and he gave us how to draft an email to professors. So you need to watch that video. It's on this page. All you need to do is to scroll back. It's a guy in glasses. Okay, so you need to go back and watch the video to draft your email. Okay, so
again, just to mention, so we can always blame the professors for not replying your email, but it could also mean that your email was not catchy or it was not interesting enough. So you would have to come back again. Doesn't make sense. So we can't just put 100% of the blame to the professors.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. God bless you all for the answers. I would love to have one-on-one session with you. But is it with Richmond? Richmond, can you give them your LinkedIn account?
I'm a very busy man, so I would just strongly suggest that since you are into this area, maybe they should
you reach out to me.
And then and then if anything you can because we still have our content, so we can
my email and my number is on the page. When you can search on my page, you'll find it. Okay, Michael.
But again, if you want to reach out to you can also try on LinkedIn. My name is Richmond Tete, right? Okay. And I have this face there. Maybe I might look a little bit different, but it's just the same face. So
World Education Service evaluation to boost your GPA. You can do that. That is correct. Yeah. Great content. Oh, okay. So this is the last message we have. I get. Hey, so Kojo means that you are watching and you are not commenting. Kojo. Kojo. Okay. So thank you so much. I think that will be it, guys. I appreciate your time. Wow, you need to watch this conversation today, and we have spent already 1 hour 17 minutes. We don't want to spend 1 hour 30 minutes, so we would sign off now. Richmond, you have given us every information we need, and thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate you. Your last words.
So my last words would be that everything is possible. Don't give up. Some years back, I was also in your situation, and I mean, I didn't know it was possible. But today I'm here and I'm the one giving you guys the advice. And when I was in your situation, I also had some people in Canada that I was speaking to, and they were encouraging me. And I was telling them I was the one facing the situation wherever I was. So I just want to tell you that don't give up. I keep saying that the only person who can actually make things not possible is yourself. But once you tell yourself you can actually do this and you can make it, you can always make it. So keep working hard, keep striving, and trust me, one day the doors are going to open and then you're going to have whatever success that you're looking for.
Okay. Thank you so much, Richmond. This last question, procurement and supply chain management. It's a business program. I am not sure if you can get a scholarship with that. What do you have to say?
So there's actually, I know for supply chain, I know there's a program in mathematics at SFU that is into supply chain. Okay. Specifically at the Surrey campus. So maybe he can look into that. But procurement sounds like a business course. So of course, I think he can actually get a school as well. But I know supply chain is also some when you do applied maths. I have some couple of friends who are doing supply chain management. So that's why I was telling people like maths is not as people perceive it is. It has a lot of branches. It has a lot of application. I have a lot of people who did math and then they are working in the health sector now. So I have a lot of people who did maths. I did math, but I'm doing economics. And economics at a high level, it's full of mathematics. For those doing MBA, I mean, MBA at a high level, probably finance is full of mathematics, right? So yes, supply chain management is possible to get a
Yep.
scholarship. Procurement, yes, those are new programs that are coming up. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Tuition.
Um, Again, I mean, I didn't pay any tuition deposit,
Yeah.
so I guess it would depend on the department.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for master students, I don't think you need a tuition deposit.
Mm-hmm.
I know this for a fact, but I know for undergrad, of course, you will need a tuition deposit because when you're applying for undergraduate program at SFU, you don't mostly get a scholarship, so you need a tuition deposit. But for a master's program, you don't need how do you call it, a tuition deposit at Simon Fraser University. Okay. Yeah, unless you are not on a scholarship, then yeah, that's a different case.
Okay, guys, that will be it. It's exactly 1 hour 20 minutes, so I don't want to go, drag it too much. So please, oh my goodness,
That's fine. I mean, we
so
can
many
answer a few
questions,
questions. Yeah, certainly.
guys. Where were you? A friend applied for thesis-based master's program in educational leadership. Is it still
Yes,
advisable for him to
yes,
request for a research
yes.
assistant?
So you need a supervisor. I mean, as part of the program, you need a supervisor. So before you can graduate from whatever school that you have, you need a supervisor. You need a committee to actually sit and watch you defend your thesis. So you need a supervisor, you need a co-supervisor, and you need committee members. So of course, he or she would have to request for research assistance. And besides, you can't do the thesis, I mean, yourself. You need some guidance on how to go about the thesis. So you definitely would need some advice from some experienced professor or supervisor. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I'm not gonna read any more
That's fine. I mean, if they have more questions, we can answer them.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I don't see. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm encouraged. Yeah. Thank you too. So I think that will be it.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jenna, for
so
having
much.
me. And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
God
you.
bless you for,
Okay.
I mean, the good thing that you're doing for the society. And I just want to say, keep it up. And
Yeah.
so,
Thank you.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep it up.
Okay, guys. Do have a great weekend. I will see you tomorrow around this time. So bye bye.
Bye. See you guys.